7 Japanese techniques to stop overthinking. Ever notice how your brain turns every small decision into a marathon of worry? What if Japanese wisdom could teach us to quiet that noisy mind? Hey there, let's be honest for a second. We've all been trapped in that mental hamster wheel where our thoughts just keep spinning and spinning. You know what we mean, right? You're lying in bed at 2 a.m. replaying that conversation from 3 days ago. Or you spend 20 minutes deciding what to have for lunch because your brain somehow turned it into a life-changing decision. Here's something fascinating we discovered. While we're over here analyzing every little detail until our heads hurt, the Japanese have developed incredibly effective ways to stop overthinking in its tracks. These aren't complicated meditation retreats or expensive therapy sessions. These are simple, practical techniques that have been helping people find mental peace for generations. Today, we're exploring 7 powerful Japanese methods that can help you break free from that exhausting cycle of overthinking. Each technique is like a gentle hand on your shoulder, quietly guiding your mind back to calm waters. So, take a deep breath with us, and let's dive into these life-changing approaches that could finally give your busy mind the rest it deserves. Technique 1. Wabi-sabi, embracing beautiful imperfection. Let's start with something that might completely change how you see your problems. Wabi-sabi. This beautiful concept is all about finding peace with imperfection and impermanence. Now, before you think this sounds too philosophical, hear us out because this is incredibly practical for overthinkers. Most of our overthinking comes from trying to make everything perfect, right? We replay conversations because we think we could have said something better. We worry about future events because we want them to go exactly as planned. Wabi-sabi gently reminds us that imperfection isn't just okay, it's actually what makes life beautiful. Think about those gorgeous Japanese gardens with their weathered stones and naturally bent trees. They're not trying to be perfect, and that's exactly what makes them so peaceful to look at. When we apply this mindset to our daily worries, something magical happens. That presentation doesn't need to be flawless, that text message doesn't need perfect wording, and that decision doesn't need to be absolutely ideal. Good enough really is good enough, and this simple shift can quiet so much mental chatter. Technique 2. Mono no aware, the gentle art of letting go. Building on that idea, let's talk about mono no aware, which is about recognizing that everything is temporary and finding peace in that reality. This might sound sad at first, but it's actually incredibly freeing for people who overthink everything. When we're stuck in worry loops, we often act like our current problems are permanent and unchanging. We catastrophize situations as if they'll last forever. Mono no aware teaches us that this moment of stress, this difficult situation, this uncomfortable feeling, they're all just passing through our lives like clouds across the sky. Japanese culture has embraced this concept for centuries, especially during cherry blossom season. The flowers are beautiful because they don't last long. When we apply this to our overthinking, we start to see our worries differently. That embarrassing moment will fade from people's memories. That work stress will resolve one way or another. That relationship conflict will either improve or teach us something valuable. Nothing stays the same forever. And somehow, that knowledge makes everything feel lighter. Technique 3. Ikigai. Finding your center of purpose. Now let's explore ikigai, which is often translated as your reason for being. But here's how it helps with overthinking. When you have a clear sense of what matters most to you, all those smaller decisions and worries naturally become less overwhelming. Think about it this way. When you're not sure what you really want from life, every choice feels equally important and stressful. Should I take that job? Should I move to that city? Should I end that relationship? Without a clear sense of direction, our minds spin endlessly trying to analyze every possible outcome. But when you have a strong connection to your ikigai, these decisions become much clearer. You can ask yourself simple questions like, Does this move me closer to what I care about? Or does this align with who I want to become? Research from the blue zones, where people live remarkably long and healthy lives, shows that having a strong sense of purpose literally reduces stress hormones in your body. Your brain doesn't need to work so hard when your heart knows what matters. Technique 4. Zazen, the practice of just sitting. Now here comes one of the most powerful techniques for overthinkers, Zazen, which literally means just sitting. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another meditation pitch, let us explain why this is different and why it works so well for busy minds. Zazen isn't about forcing your thoughts to stop or trying to achieve some perfect state of calm. It's simply about sitting quietly and observing whatever comes up without getting caught in the story. When a worried thought appears, you don't fight it or analyze it. You just notice it like you'd notice a bird flying by. Studies from neuroscience researchers show that just 10 minutes of this kind of quiet observation actually changes the structure of your brain. The areas responsible for anxiety and overthinking become less active, while the parts that help you stay calm and focused grow stronger. The beautiful thing about Zazen is that it teaches your mind that thoughts are just thoughts. They don't require immediate action or endless analysis. They can simply come and go like weather patterns. Technique 5. Kaizen. Small steps, big peace. You might know Kaizen as a business improvement method, but it's incredibly powerful for stopping overthinking too. The basic idea is making tiny, manageable changes instead of trying to solve everything at once. Here's where this becomes brilliant for overthinkers. Instead of trying to completely change your thought patterns overnight, you make small adjustments that don't trigger your brain's resistance. Maybe you commit to taking 3 deep breaths when you notice yourself spiraling into worry. Or you write down just one thing you're grateful for each morning. These actions are so small that your mind doesn't see them as threatening. But here's what happens over time. These tiny practices start to create new neural pathways. Your brain begins to default to these calmer responses instead of immediately jumping into overthinking mode. Toyota used Kaizen to become one of the most successful companies in the world by making small improvements every single day. The same principle can help you build a calmer, more peaceful mind one small step at a time. Technique 6. Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing from mental clarity. Now, this technique is something special, Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. This isn't about hiking or exercising in nature. It's about slowly, mindfully spending time among trees and letting nature reset your mental state. Japanese researchers have found that spending just 2 hours in a forest setting significantly reduces cortisol levels, which is your body's main stress hormone. But you don't need to live near a forest to benefit from this principle. The key insight is that overthinking often happens when we're disconnected from the present moment and lost in our heads. Anytime you can step outside and really pay attention to your surroundings, feeling the breeze, hearing the birds, noticing the way light falls through leaves, you're pulling your mind away from that internal chatter and anchoring it in the here and now. Even a few minutes in a local park or just sitting by a window where you can see some greenery can help interrupt those thought spirals and bring you back to a calmer state. Technique 7. Obaitori, your own unique timeline. Our final technique is Obaitori, and this one might be the most important for our social media age. Obaitori comes from the Japanese proverb about how different trees bloom at different times. Cherry blossoms, plums, peaches, and apricots all have their own perfect timing. So much of our overthinking comes from comparing ourselves to others. We see someone else's success and immediately start spiraling about what we're doing wrong with our lives. We compare our behind-the-scenes struggles to other people's highlight reels, and then we overthink every decision trying to catch up to some imaginary timeline. Obaitori reminds us that we're all on our own unique path with our own perfect timing. That friend who seems to have everything figured out, they're dealing with challenges you can't see. That colleague who got promoted faster, they have different strengths and circumstances than you do. When we truly embrace this concept, we stop wasting mental energy on comparisons and start focusing on our own growth and journey. These 7 Japanese techniques aren't just ancient wisdom sitting in dusty books. They're practical tools that can genuinely transform your relationship with your own thoughts. The beautiful thing about these approaches is that they don't ask you to fight against your mind or force yourself to stop thinking. Instead, they offer gentle ways to redirect your mental energy towards peace and clarity. Remember, you don't need to master all 7 techniques at once. Pick the one that resonates most with you right now and start there. Maybe it's embracing imperfection with wabi-sabi, or perhaps finding your center with ikigai. The key is beginning somewhere and being patient with yourself as you learn. Which of these techniques spoke to you the most? Drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe for